Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my weekly reading update for January, what was it, the 12th? 2020. Boy, this is going to take some time to remember that. Anyway, I've already had the problem with writing the wrong number down on everything and typing it in. Typing it in is my biggest problem right now because I keep typing 19 instead of 20. Anyway, it'll take some time. Anyway, so we are into January, and this last week was really a busy week for me at work. Again, it was just super long because it was the first full week I'd had in 3 weeks. So it was a long week. There were some days that were really long, and I worked quite a bit of overtime for me. I didn't really want to, but it's just the way that happened. Anyway, so my reading is kind of all over the place, and again, this comes back to the fact that I tried to start like 5 books on New Year's, and so again, I've cut back. I finished one last week. I made really good progress in 2 of them this week, which I'll talk about, and then I did finish an audiobook and start another one. So I still have a couple books that I started on the 1st that I haven't touched in over a week, and so I'm hoping that I get through one of these books this week, of the physicals, so I can pick up those ones. I was over ambitious, and I know okay, so just a little, maybe a slight rant, not too much. I saw on somebody's channel, I'm not going to mention who or anything, but I know people talk, again, everybody should know by now, I struggle with reading more than 1 book at a time. And I make exceptions when I'm doing a buddy read, which I'm doing this month. And then this happened to have a lot of readathons. I shouldn't have done so many, although I want to read all the books. So we'll see how it all works out. But I'm really bad about reading a little bit of every book physically. So I usually have a book on that physically and then one audiobook. So audiobook goes on and off. I decide what day I feel like listening to it. But my physical books, I really just read 1 book at a time normally. It doesn't have to do with anything of being confused, because that was what somebody said, and I admit I had a little reaction to that, because that is not why I don't like reading multiple books. I could read multiple books. I don't like to because I don't feel like I make progress. And to me, that is the deal. Like, I don't know what, it's me and numbers. Me as a scheduler want things done. I don't like partial things. I guess maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But I don't want people to always think that some of us who don't read multiple books at a time don't do it because we get confused. It's not that. It really is that I like to finish my books, and I like to see progress pretty quickly in them. I'm not a fast reader. It takes me time. And if I have multiple books going, like when I was reading on the 1st of January, I didn't do very well because, I mean, I read, 20 pages here, 20 in there, and 20 in another one, like it added up to over 100 pages I read that day, but I didn't feel like I made much progress on anything. And it's just my mentality of how I look at it. I like to get into a book, and it's not that I need to, it's not even a focusing issue. It really is. I like to see my numbers grow on the, to finish. I want to finish a book. Because I used to have a real problem with finishing books when I was younger. And I think I still have that mentality that if I don't keep with it, I'm not going to finish it. Because I have a tendency that if I set a book aside, a lot of times I don't come back to it for ever or a long time later, and that's where some of my ones that are left on my currently reading all the time end up. So anyway, that was a little rant, but the point is that I just want people to realize that a lot of us don't read multiple books at a time, not because we can't focus, but really because I want to make a lot of progress in 1 book. I don't need to make progress in multiple books, and that's just my personal way of doing it. You guys can totally do it your way, and I know a lot of people love having on-the-go books. They can pick and choose to their mood, and that's a whole different kind of mood reading. I'm usually like, I want to read this book. I want to finish this book and move on to the next book, and then I can read that. It's just differently. But again, it threw me off when I keep hearing that about, like, oh, I read multiple books, but I know that some people can't focus or they can't remember. No, that's not it. It really is, I want to see progress, and to me, progress means focusing on one. Anyway, sorry. Okay, I went off too much on that. Let's talk about the books that I the one book that I finished this week, which was my audiobook, and that is Dead Mountain, The Untold Story of Diablo Pass Incident by Donnie Eckhart. I listened to this on audio. It was read by the author. It was really good. I really enjoyed this. It was a fairly short. It was only about 280 pages. So the audiobook was just over like 6.5 hours. So it went really fast, and it was really well done because it's talking about an incident in 1959 where 9 hikers perished on this mountain in Russia, and it was, nobody could figure out what had happened because they had left their tent without their shoes and much of their clothing. So in it was like negative 25 degrees Fahrenheit, I think is what the number was. Anyway, I don't remember for sure on that, but it was, I'm pretty sure. I think it was 25. Yeah, anyway, so it was negative. It was in the negatives though, so it was cold. And it was a really fascinating look on what they did, what everybody knows about the story there in Russia, and this American who somehow found out about it and then just decided he wanted to know more. And so he kind of wanted to write a piece on it. And so he went to Russia a few times to meet people who had the information, as well as one of the people who was with the hikers but who turned back at a certain point because of chronic illness. And so he and then so they so he actually got to talk to him and stuff. So it was really fascinating because, again, it's his story of him going to Russia and what he figures out and what he thinks happened to the hikers, and then what back in 1959 what they thought happened, and how it was definitely a mystery all these years later. Even after documents were open to the public, it's still, there was no good answers. So he came up with a really interesting conclusion. I actually think it was very interesting. Again, it comes down to, it really makes the most sense. I'm not sure it's what happened. Like, I think I liked this book for taking all the different ideas of what happened, but it also made it very, he personalized the hikers, and these were all young people in their, well, most of them were in their 20s, early 20s, just in college, or just out. It's like some of them had just graduated. And so, they were out they were hikers. They were all very experienced. They were trying to do their, I think it's their 3rd level thing. And so, they were young, and you didn't expect and they have a lot of photos from their cameras, which is really cool. This is actually one of the photos on their camera. And it was really, really interesting. I think it was, overall, it was really good. It was quick, easy to digest, but I found it really thought-provoking. And I think he came up with a really good solution. I don't know if it really is. Again, it's a mystery. We don't know. We won't ever know. But I think it was really, I thought it was really good. It was worth it. For an audiobook, I really liked it. I would suggest, if you do the audiobook, get the book from the library. There are, as I said, there are pictures everywhere about the investigation, as well as their pictures that they took on the hike. And I just think it just makes it much more interesting, and you can see things a little bit better. I just would suggest the pictures. I would at least get the book, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I am going really long today. So anyway, I am still working my way through London Belongs to Me by Norman Collins. So talking about, this is the buddy read I'm doing with Shaun, the book maniac, and we are both really enjoying this still. This book is going in so many directions. I have not a clue what's going to happen. It's, again, it's talking about a boarding house in South London, and the people that live there were connected to it. And from 1938, and we're into 39, and it's like, it's really interesting because, again, they all have their own lives, and they all kind of get mixed up in each other's lives of things because they live in the same building and stuff. And it's just, but it's all very different. Like, there's a spiritualist, and there's, someone who just retired, and his wife, and then another woman and her son who's young and kind of getting into trouble, and then there's a like a dance hall like coat check girl who's down her luck, but she's kind of old now, and doesn't have a whole lot of options. And it's just, there's all these different people, and it's a really interesting story. I don't know. We'll have to see. I would say we're about 40% of the way. I have the next, I've read about 50 or 60 pages, and then we'll be about halfway through. So, really enjoying this. Again, this is going to take all month, and we're just, taking it in chunks. And I'm really, like I said, this is when I have to kind of, as I said, it's unusual for me to be reading something where I read it and then I set it down to read other stuff, but that is the way I read. And so, but I'm really enjoying this. And again, I just finished the last part of it this morning for my check-in with Shaun. And so I'm going to probably try to get some more read of this today, or maybe start this tomorrow. We'll see. And he said, I have like about 50, 60 pages to read to the next section. So we'll see. Really, overall, really enjoying this. Again, this was published in 1945, and never knew anything about him or this book, except from Shaun when he read, I guess, the book of Forgotten Authors by Christopher Fowler, I think is what it was. And he came across this and mentioned it, and I remember I bought it because of that. So anyway, I'm also still taking part in Cromwellathon. So we're reading Wolf Hall this month with Jason at Old Blues Chapter and Verses running that. This is by Hilary Mantel. So then again, we're reading Wolf Hall, Bring Up the Bodies in February, and then to be ready for the new book, The Mirror and the Light, in March. So I've already put a hold for a copy at the library in March, so we'll see. I'm like number 18, so it just depends on how many copies they buy when I'll get it. But anyway, I'm still, because I'm so far into it, I decided to go ahead and put that hold on because I am thoroughly enjoying this as well. Again, this is historical fiction about the era of Thomas Cromwell, and it kind of starts from when he was, it has one little scene from when he was young, and then it's mostly when he's in his 40s, and when Henry VIII decides that he wants to annul his marriage to Catherine, and he wants to marry Anne Boleyn. And it's all the stuff that goes around with that, and all the people that are connected to the king, as well as Thomas Cromwell. And this has been funny. This has been so sad. So much history stuff that I want to get some nonfiction stuff on this time period. I mean, I've read stuff before, but it's been years. And so now I'm like, I need a good history book about Thomas Cromwell or about that era of Henry VIII. And I just want to know more, because I don't know enough about that. And again, I don't think I have to know that to enjoy this. I mean, he gives enough, but there's sometimes I'm like, I wish I knew more of what he was talking about, or what Cromwell was talking about. I mean, Hilary Mantel is the one who wrote it, but you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm missing a few things, but not enough to stop me from liking this. So I am into the next week's section. I just got to 250. So by Saturday, I'm supposed to be at 312. So, this is about another 65 pages, less than 65 pages. So again, this is another thing where I will probably read beyond this week. I'm hoping this week I'm going to push past, and I don't think I'll finish it this week because I'll be reading London Belongs to Me. But I think I'll make really good progress, and I'll get ahead this week. I do have, as I said, 2 other books that I started on the 1st that are still just sitting there after reading. I read a chapter or 2. So I do want to get back to those. And I still have another book that I bought, or another book on my TBR that I need to get to as well. That's from my oldest TBR, or oldest books on my TBR. So anyway, but I'm really, really enjoying this. I really like it. Now, again, I said I'm in the rhythm of it. I know how this is how the writing is going. I really want to sit down and just binge this. So we will see what happens. As I said, I really want to make really good progress in this week. If I can finish I think I have 350 left. So, well, I'm not going to make that, but I'm going to be really close to on the weekend. So hopefully on the weekend I will be able to read quite a bit of it, during the week, and then, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. Nice. A lot of things. And then, just real quick, the audiobook I started was a reread. So I read this back 2010, I believe. And it is The Man with the Golden Torque by Sarah Green. This is the first book in the Secret Histories series. This is one of the ones on my series list that I want to make progress in. So I own, there's 12 books in this series, but I have only read the first book, and I own like 10 of them. So I want to make some progress in the series. So the first thing I'm going to do is I decided to, because I already own the audiobook, I must have got it on sale sometime. So I'm just going to re-listen to it. It is read by Stuart Blinker. So far I like him. It's just, it's more of an accent, of an English accent that I'm used to. I guess a lot of times it's much softer. I think he's very pronounced. I think it's part of the character. I don't know, but I mean, so far I like it. It's just, this book is a lot denser than most of Simon R. Green's books. I think this is why it's different for me, because all his other books are really pretty small, and you know, they're written much more dialogue, and this is really heavy descriptions too. So, but I still remember really enjoying this. This was one of the first books I put on Goodreads back in 2010 when I joined. So, I did enjoy it. So I do want to reread this. As I said, I'm going to listen to it on audio. It's about like a 17-hour audiobook, so it'll be a while. But I figure if I get through this, then I can continue on with the second book, and then hopefully make more time. So we'll make it, you know, make more, not time, I'm sorry. Get through more stuff. Anyway, so that is what I've read or started or in the middle of this week. Sorry about that beginning part rant. Not rant, but just kind of explanation. I don't know why it bothers me, because to me, again, it's not that I get my plots confused at all, even reading kind of similar genres, which I'm not right now. But it's mostly just, I just want to show progress. I want to show that what I have read, I've made progress in a book, and I'm moving forward, and I'll be done with the book soon. Not that I'll be done with any of these books soon, so we'll see. Anyway, what are you guys reading right now? Anything good? Are you guys participating in Cromwellathon? I'm really enjoying that, and Jason's videos are really good. So, but again, I want to binge it faster, and I'm kind of so much on my plate. It's so bad. And who knows? This week is supposed to snow, supposedly, here in Portland, Oregon, and I'm not sure how that's gonna go. I remember I don't have a car that's really good for that, so, and I work on I have to go up a hill to get to my to the building, so so I didn't make it up the hill last year when there was ice. Does anybody remember that story? Anyway, so we'll see how this week goes. I mean, we might get a snow day out of it. If we do, that'd be nice, but I really don't want to. But anyway, that's it. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a good Sunday. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.